Originally, today's video blog was going to be about the evolution of NXT, as it was 5 years ago this upcoming week that NXT made its debut, and I was going to talk about its early beginnings from its time on Sci-Fi to what it is now. But I decided to delay that until next week, as something that I remember just recently made me want to do this video about You Never Know Who Might Be a Wrestling Fan, a series that I started about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago actually, where I talk about instances that I've had in life where I've ran into wrestling fans like randomly, and I've never knew they were wrestling fans and stuff like that. It kind of makes for a cool story. So I thought I'd make that today's video about that, as it was 2 years ago today where I had one of those instances. So I'll talk about NXT next week. But like I said, if you're not familiar with the video series, I'm going to try to link part 3 down below in the description box if you want to get a feel for what these videos are about. This is part 4. But part 1, 2, and 3 are already up here on the channel. If you want to check them out, just search them up on my channel. Just type in You Never Know Who Might Be a Wrestling Fan. They should be up there. That said, though, part 4 is going to be about something, like I said before, that happened 2 years ago today. It was a Wednesday, I think it was, February the 20th, 2013. Went out to friendlies with my family. We're just talking about just whatever. I'm just shooting the shit with my brother about whatever was going on in wrestling. And I think it was around the time, it was either that day, I think it was that day, actually, that the news broke that Jack Swagger had gotten arrested for the whole DUI thing, the weed, and that whole news story broke that very same day. So I was talking about it with my brother, who is a less than casual fan of wrestling. He doesn't watch it at all, pretty much, except for when I'm watching it, and I'll let him know what's going on and stuff like that. So we're just talking about it, and I'm just talking about the Jack Swagger situation, how he's an idiot for getting himself in trouble only days after he won the #1 Contenders World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match, only days beforehand, and how he was heading to WrestleMania to face Del Rio for the world title, all that other stuff. So in the midst of us talking about this at dinner, at friendlies, in the back of the in the corner of this restaurant, this other guy who was in the other corner, he was not next to us, but not directly across from us, but he was diagonal from us, sitting in another booth with supposedly his wife, who was his wife. I mean, not supposedly, but he was sitting with his wife. Right? We didn't really know until later. But he said, "You guys talking about Jack Swagger?" And I'm looking around. I'm like, "Who could be possibly saying that?" And he was talking about. And he was kind of recalling the situation too. We were talking about Jack Swagger and how he got arrested and all this other shit. And it was really, really funny. And from there, not only had he been watching, currently keeping up with the product, but he had been watching, of course, as many wrestling fans have, for the last 15 years. And he was talking about stuff from like 15 years ago when he used to go to these shows at the Boston Garden all the time, all this other stuff. How he used to go to the shows. A couple of years ago, I know he went to a show in Connecticut. It may have been the show where Edge retired, or the 15th anniversary show, all of which happened in here, Connecticut. He was talking about all this other stuff, and it was really, really cool. And we were just kind of shooting the shit at dinner. I mean, we're just eating our dinner and whatever else. I think we had just gotten done by that point, but we're just talking about wrestling, and we just, had just come up out of nowhere, this conversation. We're just talking about whatever, and we're just talking about a few things, what we think about WrestleMania, the card being shaping up to be, and stuff like that. And he had brought up, like, who was a real dick backstage and actually who was really nice and all this other stuff. And he said that John Cena was actually really a dick backstage. I mean, take it for what it's worth. Everyone says that, but he's also one of the nicest guys in the locker room, whatever. But he was saying that Del Rio is actually one of the nicest guys backstage, and which was pretty funny considering, like, he's a vindictive heel on TV. I think he was a babyface at that time. But that was interesting. But he was telling us all these backstage stories and whatever, so it lasted about 20 minutes. So we're sitting at friendlies, just shooting the shit about this, just talking all about wrestling for like 20 minutes at friendlies of all places. And for those of you not familiar, it's like a family-friendly restaurant here in the U.S. I don't know if they have it overseas, but that's basically what it is here in the United States. I know they went out of business a couple of years ago, and there's not that many left in commission, but there are a few here and there, and this one that we went to a couple of years ago is still around to this day, I believe. But that was pretty funny, too. And on the way out, he was talking about CM Punk on Walking Dead, and I didn't watch Walking Dead at the time. I still don't to this day. But my brother, who was just getting into the show at that time, kind of struck up a conversation with this guy about how much he loved Walking Dead, and we were talking about CM Punk being on the show and all the other stuff. So that was pretty cool. We walked out with him. We were just talking for a little while, but it's one of those random instances where it's not like you're, walking around wearing a wrestling shirt and someone notices it or whatever. We're just sitting at dinner, not expecting anyone to know what we're talking about, let alone even hear what we're talking about. I didn't think we were talking too loudly that other people would hear us, but just out of nowhere that you just find a wrestling fan, you can talk about whatever. And I've talked about this, with other people before, especially on my radio show, Wrestle Rant Radio, where you can strike up a conversation about wrestling for hours. Like I know my friend John and I at JohnNap17 on the Twitter, if you want to follow him, we can talk about wrestling on end forever. Because there's so much to talk about from the past, the present, the future. There is always something going on in the world of wrestling, whether it be Monday Night Raw, whatever's in the news, TNA, Ring of Honor, everything. There's so much to talk about. You can literally talk about wrestling forever. And we probably could have gone on with that conversation with this guy at Friendly's had it not been, had we not just finished our dinner and had it not been in that setting. But so that was pretty funny. But, like I said, you never know who might be a wrestling fan. That goes back to the whole title of this series, of this video. So always be on the lookout for those wrestling fans. Of course, they are far and few between nowadays, and a lot of people don't even like to admit it when they're out in public and stuff like that. But if you are open about it, like I am, and you're talking about it in public, or you're wearing a wrestling merchandise t-shirt and someone recognizes it, strike up a conversation. You don't need to be buddy-buddy with them or anything, but, get to talk to them a little bit and kind of pick their brain in the world of wrestling. It always is one of those kind of cool moments, because it's not like you find someone who likes your favorite baseball team or someone who watches football too or anything like that, because, it's so common nowadays and whatever else. But still, that was pretty cool. But, make sure to leave your stories about whoever you've met that was a wrestling fan and whatever else down below in the comments section. Would love to hear it. You can also tweet me on Twitter with your stories, at WrestleRant on Facebook, at Graham Jason Matthews. All the stories, I would love to hear them. Really appreciate it. But once again, thanks for watching, guys. Always appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And make sure to spread the word. Make sure to, like I said before, spread the word and share your stories with me so I can kind of retell them and kind of relate to them as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Always appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys down the road.